fear will cause you to lose control, to just about lose our minds. But the words of Isaiah today are so comforting because Isaiah declares this for such a time as this: fear not. Understand that fear is the opposite of faith. And we are charged as believers of God to walk by faith, and not to walk by sight. That our faith is what overrides our fear. And having the faith to overcome fear is how we can consistently trust in the Lord. Not in what we do see, but in the one who sees beyond what we can and cannot see. Somebody type amen in the comments. Somebody say, fear not. Fear not. Now, within the Bible, there are at least 365 declarations of fear not. Know that is one for every day of the year. And Isaiah the prophet declares that God's chosen people should fear not. They are people who have become so self-centered. They've become self-reliant. They've become too self-sufficient on what they know. They have depended on themselves. And how many of you know when you depend on yourself more than God, this is where the problem lies. They've dismissed God's sovereignty, and now they find themselves losing control due to the changes in their circumstances. If you look at the background of the text, you will find that these people are in a place of exile. They've been banished from their own place, and because they have relied on themselves and idols, now they have lost control. But don't we enjoy being in control, beloved? I know I have. We love being in total control. And it's the moments in life that takes a detour when fear creeps up. It's those moments when we feel like we have lost all control that then we try to bring things back into perspective. But sometimes, every now and again, losing control will help us to refocus on the things of God. But does that sound like anybody you know today? Somebody who has lost control? Maybe it's somebody you know. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's even a pastor who felt as though this year they have lost total control. That they don't have control over this. You don't have control over the situation concerning your household. Maybe you feel like you've lost control concerning unemployment and your finances. Is that anybody you know today? Because they've been petrified, because they placed their trust in an economy that is now unstable. They're frightened because they've lost control, because their job security suddenly became unsecure. Utterly afraid because now their health, which was a great bill of health, has now declined. Frozen in fear because the one they thought that would never lose, would never leave them, has now changed their mind. And instead of saying that I'll be with you in sickness and in health, they've decided to part ways and go in a different direction. Listen, church. We are looking at situations today that seem as though they are hopeless because we've lost control. Living from a place of fear, causing desperation and anxiety and restlessness. It's understood that fear will cause most people to lose control. Can I share something with you? That in the Hebrew language, there are at least two different forms of fear. The Hebrew language looks at the words pashad and yirah as two different forms of fear. The first form of fear is projected fear. It's of fear that is imagined. Things that are not really truly happening. It is the overactive, irrational fear that stems from worries about what could happen, what might happen, about the worst case scenario that we could ever imagine. That's pashad. And the second type of fear in the Hebrew language is yirah. Yirah, Y-I-R-A-H. It is the fear that overcomes us when we find ourselves faced with more than we can handle. And I believe that for many of us this year, we have experienced that fear of yirah. But I got good news for you today, because the word of Isaiah declares, fear not. And I come to find out today, church, that all you need in the midst of your many fears is one. Fear not. Somebody type fear not in the comments. All you need is one fear not. One fear not. One, fear not, to resuscitate your courage. One, fear not, to remind you that the battle is not yours, but it is the Lord's. One, fear not, to redirect your eyes back on God. One, fear not, to prepare you for the favor of God. Is there one person watching in virtual church land who can declare and decree today over your life and in the face of your fears, fear not? Is there anybody bold enough and bad enough to declare, fear not? Fear not in your household. Fear not on your job. Fear not over your mind. Fear not over your health and your body. Fear not over your marriage. Fear not over your circumstances. Is there anybody in here today that is like I am, bold enough to declare, fear not? Fear not. Fear not. That stirs something in me today, y'all. Fear not. Listen, the only fear that should remain is the reverent fear of God. I like the way the late Charles Spurgeon put it. He said, the fear of God is the death of every other fear. Like a mighty lion, it chases other fears before it. That when you reverence God, all other fears must bow in the presence of God. All other fears must bow in the presence of our God. Listen, Isaiah 41:10, I'll remind you again, declares, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. He said, fear not. That's the first fear not, for I am with you.